Again, warm-up number 27. Shouldn't take you long. It's just a standard deviation and bell curve. About, 5 minutes? Yeah, all right. And what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, no electronic devices. Put them away. We don't need our Chromebooks or your mobiles. So put those away. All right. So you should be just about done. Get it started. Hades, what do I do first? Sending order. So we got 3, 5, 6, 7, 7. All right. Next, what do I do? Sam. Add them all up and divide them. So we're finding the mean. So therefore, let's see, 10, 21, 28 divided by 5. 5.6. Woo! Let's go, Thomas. No calculators needed. Minus 5.6, minus 5.6, minus 5.6, minus 5.6, minus 5.6. Looks like Hades is almost done. Very good, Hades. So we end up with negative 2.6 squared. Then we got negative 0.6 squared. This is a 2. Then we got 0.4 squared, 1.4 squared, and 1.4 squared. All right. So what is 2.6 squared? Aaron. 5 point what? 20. All right. 6.76. Okay. 6.76. Okay. All right. Then I guess I'll go over this. This is 0.36. 0.16. 1.96. Yeah. Check my math. 1.96. Go. Just for this. All right, I need the mean again. Who's got the mean again? Let's go with Enrique. What is it? 11.2? 11.2 divided by 5 is what? Approximately? .24. All right. So now we need our sigma or our standard deviation. Take the square root of that. One point what? 1.49. And our bell curve, our mean is at 5.6. First standard deviation, we are at 7.09. Check my math. All right. Airball. And then we got 4.11. Ooh. I'm cooking over here. Let's go. Let them cook. All right. So, we good? All right. So before we copy the agenda, get your stuff and get out the way. So make sure you get the screenshot from your Canvas grade. So you need to update your Canvas. So the only thing that I have pending is the quizzes pop party to input. I'm going to probably do that before the end of the day today. And also, I need to do an update on late assignments. Now, from this, already I was doing okay, but I've noticed some of you are getting used to just turning in late stuff, so I'm going to start cutting it in half. How about them apples? And it's being recorded so you can play that to your parental so they can hear the instructions. I want those progress reports back tomorrow. All right? So with that said, copy the agenda, please. Warm-up number 27 done. We're still moving on with observational and experimental studies. Tonight's home play is only one problem. You should be able to finish that here before you leave. One problem only. All right, we good? Come on now. How about them apples? Let's go. I'll give you a little bit of time to set up. Once again, warm-up 27 done. Observation and experimental studies. Tonight's home play, one problem only. Once again, we don't need our Chromebooks. You can close those, please. All right. Copy the code to access the home play in case you don't finish here in class. KG4IV. 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 Now, today's going to be, I want to say, we've been at a level 5 of, as I'm trying to break it down as much as possible. Today, we're going to be like at a level 7 or 8. So I'm going to crank it up a bit with these concepts that are coming up today. So stay focused, please. That's why I asked you guys to close your Chromebooks and put away your mobile device. Is that correct? All right. So with that said, home play looks like this. Only one problem, but several questions from that one problem. Yes. So now you actually have to know what kind of stuff you're looking at. Now, for those of you that are just copying from people, is this being recorded? Yes, it is. For those of you that are just copying from people, when we get to the quarter assessment, so you guys need to get on the ball with that. All right, here we go. I can identify statistical studies. Write that down at the bottom left of your notes. Once again, we've been working on statistical studies, and we talked about observational and experimental. 2 types, yes? And we're still within the realm of statistics. And by now, we don't need to take notes on statistics because by now you're experts at what statistics are. So tell your neighbor, what are statistics? What are statistics? All right. So yeah, some of you said science studies, data conclusions. That is correct. That's in a nutshell. There it is. So we said we are in the middle of observational and experimental studies. So on your notes, I want you to write this one more time. Write them like that again, please. Today, we're going to actually introduce the names of the studies. Before, I just wanted to make sure that you understood the difference from one to the other. So we're done with the easy stuff. Now we're getting into the one where we need to understand what we're looking at. Okay? All right, so you're writing that down? All right, good. Now, I've been paying close attention for some of y'all that you do really well where you, as my seniors, where you sit. But if I see that there's a lot of distractions, then I might have to assign seating myself. How about them apples? How about them apples? All right. Y'all ready? Here we go. We're going to start with observational studies. There's 3 types. Here's the first one. Cross-sectional. Write that down. Cross-sectional is our first observational study. How's that done, Mr. Q? That is done by going back in time and thinking about a specific time that I want to write notes about and take an observation, take a step back, snapshot, and just look at it and write down what I remember. Kind of like this. Watch. If I was to go back to a day, I'm going to go back to a day and see what I can remember from that day. Will be March 16, 2020. March 16, 2020, March 16, 2020 was the last time that we were on campuses all across the district, because that's when COVID shut us down. So that means that right after that, you guys went on long-distance learning. You guys remember that? If you want to call that long-distance learning, right? Some of you got really good at turning off the camera, and then the teacher was like, what'd you get for this? And then, Hades. And then all of a sudden you heard like a long pause. Then all of a sudden the mic came back on, and then, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Oh my goodness. And as a teacher, I remember I used to get frustrated at the fact that, we were playing these little checker games, and it's like, come on, get on the ball. But anyways, so what I would do as an observation for that time period, I would write the date that I can remember and say, okay, I remember the students did this. They started closing their cameras. Some got a little bit more elaborate, created videos. They put them on the background, like if the camera was on, and you just see them like moving around like this on the screen. Oh yeah, I got this. Guys, you guys remember, you guys playing tic-tac-toe? I'm over here playing chess. So I would write an observation about all that, and what is that called? Cross-sectional, going to a specific point, and then just looking at the examples that I can remember. Everybody with me? All right, and we can write single point in time and snapshot. Write that underneath. Single point in time and snapshot. So if I was to ask you to do a cross-sectional study, you would go back in time and do that. The second one is called retrospect or retrospective. Retrospect or retrospective. So for this one, we actually have to go back and look at records, specific records of whatever the event was, and use those records to come up with a conclusion. Is it observational? Yes, because it already passed, and we're just sitting back and collecting data. For example, if I wanted to go back in time, I would love to go back in time to the 90s, to one of the Chicago Bulls finals, and just look at those games again with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and all them. Oh, snap. And now, anyways, if you think about it, are there records already that happened? Could I go and get those records of how much they scored, how many fouls, who won, and all that? Yes, that's what we call a retrospective observational study. Pretty straightforward, yes? Once again, what's the difference between cross-sectional? Cross-sectional, you go back in time to a specific time, and you think about things, and you write them down. Whereas, retrospective, you have to go back in time and use what? Specific records. Everybody with me so far? Here goes the third one. Third one, longitudinal. Write that down. Number 3, longitudinal. Longitudinal study. What is that, Mr. Q? That's something that's over a period of time. If you want to put in parentheses, you have to experience it. Over a period of time. So let's say you wanted to do an observational longitudinal study of what it is to be at a college as a student in the modern era. Well, guess what? As soon as you graduate from IHS, you go to a college and you begin recording everything that happens to you on a daily basis as you're going through college. Now, could you finish in one day? No. It's called longitudinal because you have to go through the whole time that you're going to be at the college. Does that make sense? So, let's go back and make sure we got this. Cross-sectional, you go back in time to a specific date and time, and you just write down the observations from what you can remember. Second one, retrospective. You go back in time, but now you actually need to use what? Yeah, the past records, right? Anything that's already there, and that's what you're going to use to do your study. And the third one, longitudinal, you have to go over a period of time and you have to go through it. Okay? Underneath that, draw a line across. Advantages. What are the advantages of observational studies, of all these three? Well, the first one is that usually it's done in natural settings. So you don't have to do anything. You just go and stand somewhere and you just observe and write down data from what you see. Second thing, you cannot manipulate it. So since you're just an observant, you can't do anything about it. You just need to let it go. Okay? Let it go, let it go. The third one, special circumstances. At times, there's going to be special circumstances that happen, and once again, they're still out of your control. And that's good because you want to see what happens when things happen with special circumstances. Disadvantages. First, you cannot show cause and effect. Because sometimes you just observe and you don't know what's causing what's going on in front of you. Second, it's too expensive and time consuming. Why? Because many times, since let's say a longitudinal, it takes you 4 years. How much money and time are you going to invest to do that study? Third, there's inaccuracy, which means there's foreign measures or there's things that are out of your control that create a skew on your results. All right? So, observational, we got it, yes? From 1 to 5, how come are you up to right there so far? Where are we at? Yeah, we got it, okay? Experimental, there's only 2 of them. The first one is called scientific. Write that down. For experimental, the first one is called scientific. So that one, what's so specific about that one? That you have to do with randomness. You randomly select your groups. Once again, you randomly select your groups. You randomly select your groups or subjects. Bless you. So let's say a company that you have, you are the owner, whoever is there, they have to select randomly. Do me a favor, put away those mobile devices. They're distracting you a little bit too much in front of you. Please, pretty please. Thank you. Once again, random. So a company is going to say, I'm going to randomly select subjects or groups. Yes? All right. Thomas, we're waiting for you. Yeah? Phone. Good. Second, quasi-experimental. Quasi-experimental. So on the first one, the person or the company selects randomly. This second one, what do you think it's going to be? So if the first one you selected or they selected randomly, what do you think this one would be? It's already chosen for you. It's intact. The groups and the subjects are already chosen for you. They're already given. So once again, scientific, you select randomly. Quasi-experimental, they are given to you or they are selected to you. All right? Advantages. Can manipulate variables. So for experimental, you can actually introduce stuff that's going to get you to see reactions from people. You can actually see the cause and effect when you introduce the variable. You're going to see if the effect of whatever you brought in caused that. And it's smaller and shorter than observational, which means it's less expensive. Disadvantages. At times, it's still expensive, time consuming. Second, usually not in natural settings. It has to be in controlled settings or inside buildings. Another one, unethical practices might happen, such as, let's say, they might have some people in a controlled group or non-controlled group inside a building, and since nobody knows about those experiments or statistical studies, they might do things that are not ethical. And last but not least, there could be personal biases. So let's say I do a study on the best athletes of the world. What would be my bias? Who would I go with? You see what I'm saying? So there could be a bias already from the get-go. So that's why that's the disadvantage with experimental. All right? Got all this already? I'll give you a minute. So now that we got that done, there's one more thing that happens with experimental. Look up to the screen. And that's what we call the Hawthorne effect. This is what I want you to do tonight when you get home. Go to your textbook, go to statistical studies, to the lesson, and I want you to go and read into the Hawthorne effect. We'll talk about it tomorrow, okay? All right, here we go. So today we're going to focus on experimental studies only. We have observational, but now we saw the disadvantages. Since we cannot manipulate a lot of stuff, we're going to focus on what? Experimental. Are we there? All right, so on your notes, write experimental. So let's say we wanted to start an experimental study. Okay, so you write experimental. What do we need to start an experimental study? We need two groups. We need a treatment group. That's the one that receives special instructions or you can manipulate with a variable. And there's a control group, which is the one that does not receive special instructions. Bless you. Okay, once again, some of you are a little bit too distracted. If you think you can't do the Chromebook thing, put it away. That's fine. Just take notes. All right? So once again, to get started with an experimental study, we need how many groups? Two of them. One, the treatment group, and one, which is a control group. Now, Mr. Q, why is it called control group? Because that group is always in control. There's nothing that's going to deviate whatever they're doing. However, the treatment group is the one that you want to see what happens when you introduce a variable or something to them in regards to a situation. Such as, check this out. What if I said this? From, bless you, Mila's row that way, they no longer are allowed to have their earbuds or AirPods or cell phones out, or else they're going to get a referral from this point forward. But this half over here, you guys can have them out from time to time. So that's an experimental study because now I have two groups. One group, check this out, since I said about a referral, that's going to start making them think like, oh, snap, right? So that's the variable that's introduced over there. All right, next. Variables. There are three types. The first two is independent. That's when you introduce to see if it creates a response. Once again, the variable that's called independent is basically the statement that I said about that group. What did I say? That they were going to receive a referral every time I saw it, right? So that's an independent variable. Dependent. It's introduced, but just to measure the response. You're like, what does that mean, Mr. Q? Yeah. Let's say I create a document, and I want to document how many referrals am I going to give to that side of the group because of the AirPods and cell phones that they have out every time. So that document is called the dependent variable. Now there's a third variable that a lot of people don't think about, and it's called confounding. Confounding. What is confounding variable, Mr. Q? It's one that you never see. Yes? I'm sorry? Yes. Confounding variable is the one that nobody sees, but it's there. All right? Let me send that to your screen really quick. So here it goes one more time, from top to bottom. Experimental, we start with how many groups? Two. The treatment group, that's the one that receives the variable or the instructions to make them have a reaction. The control group that does not receive any instructions or anything that's a variable to have them change. From there, we have three types of variables. What are they? The first is the independent. What is that? That's the one that's introduced to cause an effect on people. The dependent is introduced as a document or something that you are going to collect or measure, whatever it is the study that you're doing. And the third one is called confounding. Confounding is something that is influenced, but that you don't see it. It influences the outcome, but you might not see it in the actual study, but it's something that you need to think outside of the box for it. And we'll look at it right now so we can do one together, okay? Now, I know this is a lot, but like I said today, I wanted to break it down to 3 different days to make sure I gave you chunks at a time. This is the second chunk, okay? All right. So I'm going to read a study, and we're going to identify all of this in the study. All right? So here we go. I'm going to leave that on your screen so you can have it on your screen so you can finish taking notes. So here goes the study. Don't copy this. Pay attention. It says, researchers randomly assigned 10 people to 3 different groups. Okay? Before I move forward, think about that. Think about those key words. Researchers randomly assigned 10 people to 3 different work groups. Question, what kind of scientific or experimental study was this? Was it the quasi or just the regular scientific one? Scientific, because you're randomly selecting the groups or the people. Okay, so check this out. Let me write this right here. I'm going to write scientific. Hold on. Don't write anything down. Just pay attention. I'm breaking this down so you guys can see it. So this is scientific. Okay. Number 2, what is the independent variable? So question, what is it that's introduced in this study that's going to make people react? Let's see. Let me read it. Group 1 was instructed to write an essay about hassles of life. Group 2 was instructed to write an essay about circumstances that made them feel thankful. And Group 3 was instructed to write an essay about events they felt neutral about. Tell your neighbor, what would be the variable there? What would be the variable? Independent variable. Independent is when you introduce something that's going to make them react. What is the independent variable? Looks like Jordan's got it. Very good, Jordan. All right. Yozgar's got it. Moses got it. Let's go with Sam. Sam, what did your neighbor say? The essay, very good. The essay was introduced to all groups to have them write about something. Yes. Well, yeah, this is the title of the essay. This is the title of those essays, but it's the actual essay that's going to have them react to that. Well, that's what I'm saying, but you're writing the essay. That's the outcome. All right, so essay. Let's go to what is the dependent variable? Question, did they introduce something to measure the outcome? Let's continue reading. After the exercise, they were given a questionnaire on their outlook of life. So guess what? The dependent variable is what? The questionnaire. I told you guys need to stay focused. I said a dependent variable is something they introduce that they can measure the outcome. Can they measure an outcome using a questionnaire? Yeah, because if you answer some questions, that tells me something about it. All right, next. What may be the confounding variable? So question, what do you think might affect, here goes the question, what do you think might affect the participants that we haven't really thought about? Think about it. Okay, feelings. What else? Topics. What else? How about, check this out. Don't we all have stuff going on in our life that some people have no idea? So we can write experiences or life experiences. So when people sometimes, when they go through a study or they do a certain questionnaire, sometimes they answer it with the experience that they're going through. Right? You know what I'm saying? Kind of like today, I feel good because yesterday I went and got me a Papa tea and I hooked it up. Oh yeah, yeah. They told me at the window, how do you eat that? I'm all like this. Papa tea. It's a triple bread with a bunch of meat, sandwich, toasted on sourdough. Anyways, so that's the confounding variable. Question. What can we say about the sample size? Let's see, what was the sample size? How many people per group? 10 people per group? Is that pretty reasonable? Yeah, right? What if I said only 3 people per group? Will that be enough evidence? It wouldn't be as accurate. That is correct. The more people we have, so this is good size. Good size. All right. And last, do you agree with the conclusion? So after they wrote the essays and they wrote a conclusion saying, focusing in positive makes you more optimistic about life in general. Ooh. So some of you might say, I think we need to make it and keep it neutral. You see what I'm saying? Whereas here they're trying to have you lean towards one side. But let's see the questions. Hassle of life, is that a positive or a negative? Circumstances that made you feel thankful, is that a positive or negative? And then we got the other one was neutral, so that's neither positive nor negative. So what do you guys think? You think people are going to lean more towards the negative or towards the positive in this group that's neutral? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Neutral? It depends how they feel. So that means we need to focus on the outcome or the conclusion to be a little bit more neutral. All right. So from 1 to 5, how comfortable with all these? Where are we at? 5 4s, 5 4s. All right. So with that said, here's your home plate. Let me send that to your screen. There it is. You have 10 minutes left. You should be able to answer A, B, C, D, E, and F. So read the study. Work with your neighbor if you want. Those of you following on YouTube, make sure you, yeah, it's on your screen. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's on your screen. Yeah. Yeah. Once again, those of you that are following on YouTube, make sure you put in some practice. See you guys next time. Peace.